The boys are back. Not the standard crew, but today it's me and Paul taking it down. Kevin is off on a little vacation, doing a little bit of rest and relaxation. At least that's what he says. I don't know if it's true or not, but what do you think?
We're getting loose, we're having fun.
Right, there we go. So Paul and I actually built this full test garden, I think about a year ago now, maybe it was last year.
Sounds about right.
But we basically set this up while he was gone then. So we figured, let's get in here again, do a little bit of experimenting. Today we actually have some very tragic, maybe dead, hopefully alive, sweet potato slips. So we're gonna get these planted. We're also gonna be building a cattle panel trellis. So let's get into it. We gotta prep this area first, move some mulch aside, and set up a little sweet potato experiment. So behind me, Paul's moving the mulch aside, and what you can't see is that there are about 1,000 or 2,000 fire ants swarming, getting a little bit closer to me. So here's the deal. We got these sweet potato slips, we got them ordered, and they didn't arrive looking very stellar, but what Paul did is he put them in a cup of water so they could start rooting. Were these rooted when you got them?
Nope.
Okay, so they weren't rooted. So what he did here is he put them in a cup of water, and you could see that the roots have started to grow. So that's exactly what you want to do. You can technically plant them straight in ground, but there's a chance that they won't make it. But obviously some of these didn't make it. So what we're going to do here is try to grow the sweet potatoes in a very classic way. We're gonna do a sort of mound system, and then we're gonna go directly in ground. I have a special idea for what we're going to do in the grow bags. We have 3 different varieties: Covington, Beauregard, and Bayou Belle. So I don't know what any of these are. I haven't tried growing any of them, and we'll see what we get. But the idea here is how to best plant them in the ground to get the better yield. Is it worth putting a little bit more work up front? And for containers, I actually have a really cool method that I've been wanting to prove out for a long time. The basic idea of what we're doing here is forking the ground to get it as loose as possible. When you're growing sweet potatoes, they are a tuber, so they want loose soil to have that ability to actually get physically large. Now, since we're going to be doing it 2 ways, one that's going to be straight in ground and one that's going to be in rows, we really want to make sure that the in-ground ones get fully loosened up for the soil. So that's why I'm going deep with the broad fork. I'm also going to be re-broad forking the same area to help get that nice crumble on the soil. So here's where we're at. I have fully forked the area that we're going to be growing in. So the idea is that now I could shove my hand easily into the soil wherever I am, which is exactly what we want. We want nice loose soil so that the sweet potatoes can size up and get as big as possible. So now let's do a little bit of final prep and get these guys in the ground. The way I'm going to set this up is Paul is filling up the last of the grow bags here, but we have 3 varieties of sweet potatoes. So we'll have 3 grow bags. Right here, I'm going to build the rows. I want the taller rows next to the grow bags. They're not gonna really cast shadows because the sunlight is pretty much overhead and straight off to the back behind me. So that's why my shadow is in front of me right now. And at the end here, we're going to go straight into the ground. Nothing fancy, nothing special. So now what I'm going to do here is basically just build up a little central mound right about here. The idea behind this method is that the mound is elevated, which means it'll get warm faster. It'll be warmer than the one that's just flat ground because it has more sun on it. And sweet potatoes love the heat. So that is why, in theory, this should do best. Now the next thing we're doing is literally just shoving them in the ground like probably anyone else would. You just dig a hole, put your sweet potato in, walk away, see what you get. So we'll see if this does any better or worse than this. But lastly, if you are a container grower, we are going to be doing the container setup. The experiment where I'm going to set up something special later on is going to happen once these are actually growing. So you won't see that today. You'll have to tune in for a future episode. But we're going with 15-gallon grow bags because sweet potatoes, they're big. They grow for a long period of time. They will grow through the entire summer before you harvest them. So you want to give them as much soil as possible, or else it's just going to dry out all the time. You're not gonna have a good time growing sweet potatoes. But here's the thing that happens when you order sweet potato slips in particular, they're often grown either in a greenhouse or maybe they never had real light at all, and you put them out in your garden, they get roasted and they could actually die. Oftentimes sweet potatoes, like I said, are pretty hardy, so they might recover. But what we're going to do is actually put some shade cloth over these for the first week, let them get established, let them start actually growing so that they don't just randomly die from getting hit by the sun right away. So we'll show you a quick setup on that after we get these planted. So I'm gonna go straight down like that. I'm gonna pull it back, drop my fert in, take my sweet potato, and actually what we want here is for the sweet potato to go in as deep as possible. So one thing you could do is take your sweet potato, put it up against the trowel, and then push both at the same time. So once it's in, I'm gonna hill it up again until it gets right up to those top leaves. And this way we have the most possible stem buried while still having as many leaves as possible on top to do photosynthesis. So we're gonna do that for each one of these containers. You could do the same thing for the grow bags. Here is the final planting. Paul's grabbing the hose right now over there so we could water these in. But we've got the 3 different sweet potatoes. They're all in line, same variety in line, in ground, built up on the mound, and then the grow bag method. Looks pretty good, so we're gonna get this soaked in, get some shade on it, and we should be happy. We have the shade cloth up. Obviously, it's not the most beautiful structure in the world, but it's only going to be here for a week. Like I said, these are sweet potato slips that got mailed. We have no idea how much sun they got during that whole time period in between. Right now, for the past week, they've been sitting in the shade. So I know they're gonna get scorched. We'll leave this for a week. Once we have new growth, we'll take it off. Sweet potatoes will be just fine. All right, Paul's helping himself to a nectarine over there.
It's super yummy.
Throw him under the bus here.
Sorry, Kevin.
It's okay. Tell Kevin how good that nectarine is.
It's so good. I wish you were here right now to taste it, but you're not.
All right, so Paul and I got our roux on. We're looking absolutely...
Root up?
Yeah, we're root up. We're root up. That's the right word. And what we decided to do is actually do a little bit of a harvest.
Oh, yeah.
Because this fruit is too good. We can't let it go to waste. Some of it already fell to the floor while he was gone. It's not... I don't know, should we blame it on him? Let's say it's his fault. He shouldn't have planned his vacation.
Let's just
line up with the peach tree.
It's definitely not our wow. Let me try that again. It's definitely not our fault.
I think your blood sugar's low. You might need to help yourself to a peach here.
Oh yeah.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna walk by. So peaches are one of these fruits that they do not ripen off the tree. So what you need to do is pick it when it's ready, pick it when it's nice and juicy. We're gonna just walk around, give everything a test squeeze. Why don't you show them that little test squeeze there?
This is not looking hot.
So that's a bad one.
Yeah. Right here. That's pretty firm.
So right there, is there any bounce back?
Nope.
Okay.
Or, well, yeah, it's all.
Oh yeah,
it's all
I guess
bounce
it's all
back.
bounce.
Yeah.
So that's too firm. There's no give at all. So what we're looking for, show them that.
This one though, look at that.
Oh yeah, so that's what you're looking for. You obviously don't want to do it to everyone because we want to bruise all his peaches.
That's true.
We're gonna give it a light touch.
And we're gonna eat this one, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true. Let me know what that pollination issue is. It's just literally the seed, no fruit.
It's not us.
But it had to have got pollinated to form the seed.
Right?
All right, I forgot I had this kangaroo pocket here.
You're just holding them.
I'm just holding. I'm like, where am I gonna put all these peaches? So I think I've got, if I count them, I'll give you a real number, I guess. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's say 8.
All right, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I have like 15.
All right, so he has 12, I have 7, and that's the total that we're gonna put in his fridge. And
that's all that was on the tree.
That's all I found. So quick look at the, I think this was an Anna's apple, right? Oh, that's a harvest.
I have no idea. Which
did that come off?
No.
Oh, okay. The other day I touched one and it just popped into my hand. So none of these are, just knocked off like 7 apples. Okay, well this one's rotten. This one's good. The thing about Anna apples, unfortunately, is that they aren't the best. They're, I think, pretty good in like a pie, but they just, the texture isn't there. It's not like crispy. It's not tart and sweet. It's just kind of like there.
It's a mid apple.
Yeah, it's a very mid apple. It'd be like, it beats a Red Delicious any time of the week. Easy.
That bar is pretty low.
Yeah, that's a little bar. But, you know, they're a good cooking apple. They are still snackable. They're a nice little refreshing treat. But I'm going to leave all these for Kevin, I've decided. We're pretty heavy in our pouches here, but what we see is this papaya. Now, this papaya has been quite the troll. It's done almost literally nothing since we put it in. Then one day somebody commented in a video saying you should cut it, add a bunch of compost, and it'll grow. So I did that. I cut that one, it's already regrown. I added a ton of compost, and then it flowered. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 fully ripe papaya, I guess. So I'll grab this one. I think that's
okay.
Probably...
Yeah, there's one with a soft spot
that one's
back
pretty.
Here.
Yeah, I'll grab that guy.
Okay.
Does it twist?
I don't know.
All right, so here's one of the papaya. I don't remember the variety name, but it honestly looks pretty good. I've never been a huge fan of papaya, so I'm also going to leave this for Kevin. But we got 3 papayas. I like green papaya personally, but ripe papaya like this, I'm not huge on. We got a couple papaya. I think we're done harvesting food for today.
I think so too.
Let's go back and do a little bit of work, I guess. So Kevin's chickens, the most spoiled chickens in the world, are gonna definitely enjoy this feast. The fresh ground peaches. And a couple of Anna's apples. We've ate our fill of peaches and now we are ready to work again. So we're going to go ahead and put this kettle panel arch trellis together. What it does is it allows you to grow vertically. So we're gonna be growing like watermelons, cucumbers, squashes, And it's also going to add a nice height and texture to the garden. So let me show you where it's going to go and the materials that you need to build this. So first of all, you obviously need cattle panel. This can be tricky to transport because it's 16 feet long, but you can like fold it in half and make like a giant ball out of it. So that's going to be the main structure. The way we're going to hold up the structure is by using T-post, which we're going to hammer in using the T-post hammer. Now the location of this is going to be right here on this pathway. This is an area of the garden that doesn't really have any height to it. We have the greenhouse there. We have the apricot right there. So that's already giving you some nice height elements over there. But over here it's flat. So we want to add some texture, some height. And the interesting thing about the cattle panel trellises is that the wider you make them, the shorter they are. Since Kevin's tall, we could actually do quite a tight one here. That's just the width of the path, maybe about 3 feet. We'll see how tall it gets. But one thing that you might see is Paul actually just installed these today. Let me pull one out of the ground. All this is a gopher spike. So this sends out like an ultrasonic sound that apparently gophers don't like. Now, we haven't actually tried this long term, but we have been struggling with gophers for quite a while here at Kevin's property. So we're testing to see if this works because they're inside the potato patch, and that's not good. If Kevin comes home and finds out that he has no potatoes because the gophers ate them all, we're going to be in for a bad day. Paul just did a very sad sound. So I don't know. I don't know. That's a problem for another day. That's Kevin's problem. We're going to leave that, let those gophers cook in there. And let's go ahead and set up this cattle panel trellis over here. So we got a couple potatoes here. And honestly, the plant wasn't that big. I wasn't expecting much, but there's 3 solid potatoes on there, a couple little baby ones. So that's a good sign. The gopher at least didn't eat this one.
That's true.
I'll take it. So here it is. It's ready. It's built. It's done. Once the potatoes here are done, if the gopher didn't eat them all, we'll put some climbing plants over there. Probably some squash. I think there's a couple squashes in the greenhouse.
Oh yeah.
On this side, we already have the watermelon, so we'll just direct that onto the panel. There's conveniently a cucumber right there.
Calculated.
And we're thinking of a second arch, I think, right over here.
Yep.
But I don't know if that's gonna happen today. I'm pretty happy with this. I think once it's grown in, like Paul said, it's gonna look great. It's gonna add a lot of height, texture to the garden. And of course, we also got the sweet potatoes in, and I'm excited to see how that experiment does. So another great day working together, Paul, but I think we call it for today.
I think so too.
Let's
I just
go eat
saw a
some
rat
peaches.
run across the wall.
All right, put that one in my pocket. He'll never see it.
The tiny
That's
one?
kind of
You
weird.
don't want the big one?
Yeah, it's fine. All right. We got